Welcome to another episode of the Adrienne Ross Show, where sports and culture connect, and they're going to connect today. I'm going to talk about Kelly Krauskopf, president of the Indiana Fever. Been a lot of comments about something she said back in October that for some reason has become a source of controversy now. Also been a lot of comments about her deleting her social media, according to multiple reports. And so I'm going to get into that. I'm going to say that I have no doubt that there will be people who won't like what I have to say. But if you know me, you know that I do what I believe is right. I'm not scared off by the multitudes either. And I'm going to stand on morality. I'm going to stand on truth. I'm going to stand on integrity. And speaking of integrity, either Sunday evening or Monday on the second channel, Adrienne Ross Squared, you can expect to hear from me as I talk about what integrity is. And it will relate to the Indiana Fever and a lot of the controversy and narratives and agendas and conspiracy theories and all of it. And so I want to get into that in, like I said, either Sunday evening or Monday, and that'll be over on the second channel. So if you're not dialed in to Adrienne Ross Squared, perhaps you'll want to do that. But I'm going to share what I'm thinking. So you think about that before you go on over to Adrienne Ross Squared. Either way, the link to the second channel will be in the description of this video. So back to this video. Kelly Krauskopf made some comments again in October, and people have decided that now is the time to be angry about it. And now is the time to figure out, I guess, that her purpose was to degrade Caitlin Clark. Well, we're going to talk about it. But first, let me start with the part about her deleting her X account. Good for her. I have heard many people who have claimed to be Caitlin Clark fans, who have Caitlin Clark content, as well as comments made that when it came to members of the WNBA who couldn't seem to stay off social media, the comments were, well, just be an adult and stay off social media, or be an adult and delete your social media. But now that Kelly Krauskopf has decided that she's going to delete her social media after being attacked, now somehow it's wrong to delete your social media. This is how fickle this stuff really is. And this is why I'm extremely careful what I take in, because it's like a roller coaster. It's noise. And as I mentioned in the video I did on Friday afternoon, the word noise derives from the Latin for seasickness, nausea, and how appropriate that is. Now, I'm not friends with Kelly Krauskopf. I don't know anything about her personally. All I know is that I'm not in the business of trying to blow something up when there's nothing to be blown up. Once again, her decision to delete her social media means absolutely nothing to me. Social media, particularly X, whenever I pass through, it's, clearly shows itself to be a cesspool. So good for you, Kelly Krauskopf. There are a lot of other people who need to do the same thing, as many people who are upset that you did it have said many times. All right, so now to what has caused people to get upset. I'm not going to lay too much of a foundation on this because I'm going to get into that on the second channel. I do know this, that Kelly Krauskopf in October made some comments Now those comments have been pulled out and being used to promote a narrative. There's a narrative at play. And whether we agree with the front office of the Indiana Fever or who they brought in or whatever, many of us were excited coming into the 2025 season. And many people were happy with, if not all the pieces brought in, happy with some of the pieces brought in to help bring this team to another level. That's all I know about Kelly Krauskopf. I'm not invested in Kelly Krauskopf, but I am invested in the truth and I am invested in decency. And so the idea that somehow the comment she made about the Indiana Fever franchise were horrible comments, were nasty comments, were somehow comments designed to undermine Caitlin Clark is just ridiculous. If they were horrible comments, then they should have been horrible comments in October. But when you're pushing a narrative, this is what we're seeing right now on many fronts. When you're pushing a narrative, you've got to look for stuff and then you've got to twist those things because it fits what you want to say. That's what happens. And so the thing that didn't bother you before, because there was no reason for it to bother you, all of a sudden it bothers you now because it works to your benefit to push your narrative that it should bother you. And then, of course, the seeds of discord have been planted. And so other people are also bothered because media, powerful tool. But I've dealt with the media for many years. I've dealt with taking on mainstream media, and now we know that social media, and I consider YouTube as well, social media, more powerful now than the mainstream media because the mainstream media lost all credibility. Well, social media was supposed to be a higher level, but same power there. And where there is power, there is also corruption, and we need discernment to be able to see through it. So I praise God for discernment. So let's go to what Kelly Krauskopf had said in October that nobody had a problem with until 5 minutes ago. And then we're going to break it down a little bit. I am over on the New York Post, and the headline is Fever President deletes her ex account after Caitlin Clark comments spark fan backlash. And there is a post from X from Correlation here in the body of this article, and that's what we're going to take a look at. Please note that the date for this post is July 11th, 2025. And again, Kelly made her comments in October.
That we want to sustain the growth and the interest level in the franchise. I mean, this is about the Indiana Fever. Yes, we have a foundational player in Caitlin Clark and Leah Boston, and we're going to continue to add to that. But I want this team to be the leader in the country, and a brand, an enduring brand, like Apple or something. I mean, we have a real opportunity here.
The only way anybody is offended by what the president of the Indiana Fever said is if they're looking to be offended. There's nothing offensive in what she said. She's the president of an organization. What is she supposed to say? I want an organization that fizzles out in 10 years, 5 years. When Caitlin is done, I hope the organization is an ash heap on the ground. Like, she's the president of an organization. She came on board. She started putting pieces together. They made it absolutely clear that the pieces were to complement the big three on the team. And they also made it clear that they believe that they could build off of Caitlin Clark, the generational talent that she is, and that the time was now. Now, it would be idiotic if her whole mindset was that after Caitlin Clark, then the whole thing folds up. She's talking about a legacy. which is what Caitlin Clark wants. Caitlin Clark wants to leave a legacy. Caitlin Clark talks about Maya Moore, for example. Maya Moore was someone Caitlin looked up to when she was young. It gave her hope. If the WNBA folded with Maya Moore, then Maya Moore didn't do what Maya Moore, I hope, would want to do. And that is leave it better than you found it. That's why in the past I've said that when people say there will never be another Caitlin Clark, and I say Caitlin Clark would resist that because every person with character, every great talent with character wants to inspire other people so that it continues. Only insecure, narcissistic people hope that things fall and fail when they leave. And I know that Caitlin Clark has character. And so, as a woman of character who spends so much time inspiring and giving to and donating to and signing autographs for young people, I know she would want exactly what Kelly Krauskopf is saying. And that is, we want to build something that remains. To say you want to build something that remains is not putting down the person or the people who are helping you build. It's in fact an honor to those people. It's showing tribute to those people. It's showing that you understand that they are absolutely instrumental in this thing continuing. It's called legacy. She's saying that she's the president now. Okay. She's saying that I want to build something that lasts. I want to build a legacy. I want this to be that special place. So, how is that different from the legacy that surrounds the Chicago Bulls? Like, there's a legacy surrounding Michael Jordan, the place where Michael Jordan played, because that's what you want. If it all was over when Jordan left, then it's a failure. We hear it with the LA Lakers. Same thing. There are some franchises that have that special aura and that legacy that it's like you kind of go, wow, I could play for the Lakers one day. Oh, wow, I could play for Chicago one day. I'm sure when Derrick Rose suited up in a Chicago Bulls uniform, he was well aware that he was standing where Jordan played. Like, that's what you're supposed to want. And as the president, if you know anything about leadership, you obviously understand that that's the goal. The goal is not to just build one person and then when they're done, it's over. That's a slap in the face of the one person who put their blood, their sweat, their tears, their passion in the place itself. So to pretend now that what Kelly Krauskopf was saying was that she wanted to supplant Caitlin Clark is just, it's nefarious to me. I dare say it's evil. And I know that's hard words, and I'll get more into that, like I said, on the second channel, this either Sunday or Monday. But I sense something that is at work, and it really is low. And it's an affront to common sense and decency, and also to Caitlin Clark, the person people say they support. Now, as many of you know, I am a John Maxwell certified speaker, trainer, and coach. Many of you already know that. Many of you know who John Maxwell is, especially if you pay any attention to leadership and to communication and all that. He is considered the number one leadership expert in the world. Presidents of nations seek out John Maxwell and people associated with John Maxwell. So again, I'm a certified John Maxwell speaker, trainer, and coach, as well as a behavioral analyst. One of the things that John Maxwell, in addition to being a best-selling author of more books than I can count, a sought-out speaker, leadership guru, if you want to use that term, all that, his background also is in pastoring. He's been a pastor of a church. And so one of the stories that he tells is how he was starting a church or working on a church that was like, there was nothing. There was no one. There was nothing. There was no life to it at all. But he poured himself into that church and he built that church up, and people came in, gave their lives to God, and he did the work that God had called him to do and built the church up. So after however long he was there, he ended up leaving, moving. I believe he was going to a different church, maybe a different state. And he gets a call about how the church had just fallen. It had just failed. It was just a skeleton of his former self, the what it became with his leadership. And he couldn't figure out what in the world happened after it appeared to be thriving. And then he says something that should stand out to every one of us. And that is, I get it. Like, he never invested in the next. He never did what it took to make sure that it carried on. And he said these words, and this is powerful. He said, success without a successor is failure. Again, and he knew success, but in that moment, when everything he worked for came to nothing because he built it around just one person and didn't invest in that continuing, and it doesn't minimize who he is, it just speaks to his greatness when it continues. And he said, again, I realized that success without a successor is failure. And that's all that Kelly Krauskopf was saying. And again, I'm not invested in Kelly Krauskopf at all, but I am invested in the truth and what has happened there. And thankfully, she's just like, bump y'all. I'll just delete it for now. Good for her. But the idea that she was somehow trying to say that they don't need Caitlyn and she's not important and all that, she was saying the exact opposite. If you listen in context, she was saying the exact opposite. And she was also saying what leaders say. Again, certified by the #1 leadership expert in the world. I recognize leadership. I do leadership training for companies, churches, organizations, individuals. And it doesn't take a John Maxwell certification to understand that what she was saying was, I want to build from here. And by saying I want to make it like Apple, what she did was what you do in smart communication. You take something that is a success and you draw that parallel. Everybody recognizes Apple when you say Apple. Everybody recognizes the greatness of Apple, except for people who are hating on Apple because, they're Android people. Y'all. But seriously, everybody, when you say Apple, it's sort of like saying Michael Jordan. It's sort of like saying LeBron James for some people. It's like, for me, Kobe Bryant and Michael Jordan. It's like saying Caitlin Clark. Well, if you say to someone, she's the Caitlin Clark of her high school, everybody knows what you're talking about. You use an illustration that people can relate to. That means I want to go from here and I want to go here. It doesn't mean that you're saying that a person who is absolutely taking it by storm isn't important. And there's, again, nobody believes that unless they have been duped with seeds that have been sown, seeds of discord that have been sown. And now people are like, oh, yeah. And everybody is, to use a phrase from To Kill a Mockingbird, led by the noses as asses are. Some of it, I think, is well-meaning. Some of it, I think, is willful exploitation, and it's wrong. I got even more into what I intended to save for the second channel on Sunday or Monday, but I needed to say what I said, and I'll say more and get more specific. But if you don't like Kelly Krauskopf, then you don't like Kelly Krauskopf, whatever. But to suggest and to get on board with people who are purposely leading people by the nose as asses are, and others who have just been duped, that what she said was supposedly some kind of disrespectful comment to Caitlin Clark is ridiculous. And it was, if anything, an honor to who Caitlin Clark is. And if you listen to more what she said, you understand exactly what she said. And the fact that nobody had a problem with it until now, when many have been told to have a problem with it. Yep, I see right through it. Then it's off the charts. That's why, for me, had to back away because I see some things, I don't like them, and it's wrong, period. So those are my thoughts. If you're going to be the president of an organization and you don't have plans to make it great, then go sit down. If you don't say you want something that lasts longer than you, then you go sit down. If you want everything to die with you and never have a successor, then go sit down. And if you are finding that social media is showing itself once again to be the cesspool it is, with all the attacks that are unwarranted, then do what you do. That's what we were telling everybody else to do when it fit our narrative. But now, somehow it's wrong to delete your social media from attacks from people who are saying all kinds of noise. And I already told you what the word noise derives from. And it's very appropriate. Once again, I'm going to get into integrity and how it fits into all this stuff on the second channel. At least that's my plan, either Sunday evening or Monday, God willing. Reminder that the Indiana Fever will take on the Dallas Wings on Sunday at noon, my time, and I will not be home from church yet at that time. So I won't be starting a live stream from the beginning unless something unforeseen takes place. So if I'm home at a decent time, I will go ahead and do a live stream. I'll just jump right in. So have your notifications on if you decide that you want to hang out on the Adrienne Ross show for the game. That's up to you. But I will try to make that happen. And it'll be Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever against, I guess, Paige Beckers and the Dallas Wings. And I have heard that perhaps Arike Agumbawale will be back during that time. Let's go, Fever. I'll catch you next time, God willing. God bless you abundantly.